So while I was researching about this Justin Verlander trade, I noticed some interesting things in regards to, a tribute to the stock market crash and how it is interrelated to the World Series this year and also to the Super Bowl that is played in Minneapolis. And the NFL season even begins on September 7th, I guess, tomorrow. And if you go from September 7th to the day the Super Bowl is going to be played, it's a span of 150 days. And in Gematria, if you write out World Series equals 150. The rest of the games are going to be played on Sunday, right? 3 days later, which means all of them games in week one begin 147 days before the Super Bowl. So it's interesting. It has a connection to the World Series. And the World Series begins on October 24th this year, which just so happens to be the 88th anniversary of Black Thursday, which was the beginning of the stock market crash, you know, of 1929. Black Tuesday was the big day, but Black Thursday was the day that really built into Black Tuesday. And before I get any farther, if you don't know what I'm talking about already, I'm talking about Gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words, and it also syncs up with the calendar, and it is in our media every single day. Our sports leagues are coded this way. The sports leagues are interrelated into the media. The media is interrelated into the sports leagues, among other things. For example, how we just had Hurricane Harvey, and then Matt Harvey was the first pitcher to pitch in Houston after Hurricane Harvey, right? And the Patriots winning the Super Bowl just after 9/11, or New York upsetting the Seattle Mariners, who had the record 116 wins just after 9/11, and then New York makes the World Series. But I'll leave a link in the description called How to Gematria. And if you watch that 15-minute video, this video will make a lot more sense as to what I am talking about, and you can apply it for yourself. But the World Series beginning on the 88th anniversary of the stock market crash this year has a lot of interesting things. For example, Trump in Gematria equals 88, the alphabetical order. T is the 20th letter, R the 18th, and so on. You add them up. Trump equals 88. The last time the stock market crashed, we had Herbert Hoover was the president. Herbert Hoover, HH. H is the eighth letter, so 88. Notice Herbert Hoover equals 159 in Gematria, just like Donald Trump in the reverse method. There's a lot of other things going along with it, but just think about it. Hurricane Harvey, HH. We just had the Charlottesville attack, supposedly, Charlottesville, Virginia, with the car ramming whatever. And the only girl that died was Heather Heyer, HH, and it was all about the Nazi rally. The neo-Nazis even use HH because it represents Heil Hitler, HH. It's such a joke. And there's no way that girl really even died. If you watch the VMAs with her fake mom on there, fake crying, just 2 weeks after your daughter supposedly dies, you go on MTV and start a foundation. That lady is going to be rolling in the money, and it's probably not even a real person who died. And also, just one more example here. Donald Trump, 138, you know, Ku Klux Klan, 138. Donald Trump, wall equals 48, also 60. Donald Trump, wall, 40, 60, just like wall. That's how that's how the media works. That's how our presidents are selected and everything else. It's all by the numbers. Always happens this way. All throughout history. If you watch my other videos, you'll see tons of documented cases. So all that being said, I just wanted to start off and tell you that there's something synced up to the World Series and the Super Bowl and how it connects to a tribute to the 88th anniversary of the stock market crash. Whether there will be another stock market crash or if it's just some type of weird tribute because Trump equals 88 or something. But think about where the Super Bowl is going to be played in Minneapolis at US Bank Stadium. Just think about that in regards to money, the stock market. But let's start off this video, and I want to just show some connections I noticed in regards to why the Super Bowl 52, or Super Bowl LII, is being played in Minneapolis. It's the 52nd Super Bowl. If you write out Minnesota, Minnesota equals 52 in the reverse reduced method, and it also equals 38 in the regular reduced method. If you write out LII, it equals 38. If you write out 52, it equals 38. If you write out Super Bowl LII, it equals 163. 163 is the 38th prime number. US Bank Stadium equals 38. And 2018, 20 plus 18, 38. In the reverse reduced method, if you write out LII, it equals 24. The Super Bowl is going to be played on February 4th, 2/4, a lot like 24. And if you add up the date numerology even, 2 plus 4 plus 18, it equals 24. I pointed out, I guess, the 150-day stuff in here, but so on to the Justin Verlander stuff here, and then I'll get a little bit more in depth with the stock market stuff. So Justin Verlander, he got traded his birthday February 20th, 2/20 here, and he got traded on August 31st, which is 192 days after his birthday. If you write his name out in Gematria, Justin Verlander equals 192. And he got traded 192 days after his birthday. That's how this stuff always happens. He was born on the 51st day of the year. Houston Astros equal 51. The day that he got traded, if it'll even load here, I'm going to pause it real quick. The day that he got traded, the Astros won 5-1, right? He's born on the 51st day of the year. The Houston Astros equal 51. They won 5-1 the day they picked him up. And Houston just hosted Super Bowl 51, if you remember. So I looked up his stats, and it says that he had a record of 183 and 114, which is interesting. If you've been following my videos on my blog, I've been talking about there's a connection to the Minnesota Twins by all of these weird things that I keep documenting in my own life. And that's another thing that I'm talking about. I truly think that there's this system that exists in the world, and there's a group of people who understand how to manipulate this, and they do things such as trade Justin Verlander 192 days after his birthday, and his name equals 192, because it does something. It puts energy into a certain thing, and it can manifest into other things, you know. That's how they use this knowledge to control people. But anyway, he had 183 wins when he got traded. Minnesota Twins equal 183. And I also pointed out his full name, Justin Brooks Verlander, equals 92 and 133 in the reverse reduced method. Minnesota equals 133. Astros equal 92. So, and the Astros also won their 133rd game of the season when they won 5-1 the day that he was traded. So, you know, a perfect fit for the Astros. And then here's where I documented a weird occurrence that happened. So instead of looking up this guy's stats on sportsreference.com, which I usually do, for some reason I just looked at the Wikipedia one, and I was too lazy that night or whatever, and I just wrote, according to Wiki and whatever else. Usually I go to Sports Reference, but I didn't want to do that. But I wrote, according to Wiki, and then I went back to my notepad to find out what this number 192. I remembered that it was a bunch to do with football last year. NFL equals 192. And I talked about it a whole lot. Indianapolis Colts equal 192. Andrew Austin Luck equals 192. I talked about it in the death of Sam Foltz, the Nebraska punter. He died 192 days after Lawrence Phillips, and Obama had went to Omaha, Nebraska, or whatever. I think it was the same day that Lawrence Phillips died or something. Can't remember, but Lawrence Phillips died 192 days before Sam Foltz. Sam Foltz's last game was the Foster Farms Bowl that equaled 192. So just interesting, you know. It was a lot of stuff connected to the NFL. And anyway, I went to my notepad, I typed in 192 just after typing according to Wiki. And when I typed that in, it took me straight to a thing that said, according to Wiki, the Great Depression started around 9/4/1929, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. You know, I just typed this, and then now the first thing I search, it comes up to this. So I'll look more into it. And I've been talking about how there's a lot of different things in the media that have been seemingly a tribute to the stock market crash, the 88th anniversary. And I re-looked up Herbert Hoover, and if you notice, Herbert Hoover equals 192 in the reverse method. And I thought, how interesting, you know, I'm searching for this 192. I didn't know reverse gematria at the time of this part of my notepad whatsoever, so interesting, there's 192 involved in it. And then I also went on to point out that if you write out Herbert Hoover's full name, Herbert Clark Hoover, it equals 204, just like Houston Astros. And if you write out 204, it equals 192. So, you know, an interesting interrelatedness of these numbers, you know, 192 and 204 have a relationship. And the previous video that I just made and the previous post that I made before this one was about Prince, right? About Minnesota and whatever. And his sister said that his new favorite color, or his favorite color, was always orange and not purple. And I mentioned in that post about favorite color equals 192. Orange is the new black equals 192. And I talked about the racist coding behind why orange is the new black. And I pointed out that orange equals 183, just like Minnesota Twins, just like Justin Brooks, or just like his record of 183 wins. But in a few previous videos, I've been mentioning how I think the Minnesota Twins stuff might be synced up to the Cleveland Indians because of the curse of Rocky Colavito. And I remembered from last year that Herbert Hoover actually died on Rocky Colavito's birthday, August 10th, which was also the same day that Lou Boudreau died, August 10th, on Rocky Colavito's 68th birthday. And, oh, Lou Boudreau was the MVP of the 1948 World Series, the last time that the Indians won the World Series. A bunch of the stuff in the World Series last year was synced up to the election, and Donald Trump won the election. It was the biggest election upset since the year 1948 when Harry S. Truman upset Thomas E. Dewey. It was also the year of the closest supermoon, and also the year that Prince Charles was born. Lots of interesting stuff, and Donald Trump equals 48. So what I wrote in this post was possibly it isn't for the Twins, and it really is for the Indians, but the Twins are also showing us all this twin stuff is showing us the Super Bowl. And then I pointed out that football equals 133, just like Minnesota. So it makes a lot of sense. Also, if you write out Super Bowl LII, it equals 161. Stock market equals 161 in reverse. If you write out Super Bowl 52 as words, it equals 204. And remember up here, if you write out 204, it equals 192. Houston Astros equal 204. Herbert Clark Hoover equals 204. And I pointed out too, American Civil War equals 161, just like Super Bowl LII and stock market and whatever else, you know, because it's truly been building for a while. They've been trying to build this super division between black and white and everything else in the media. But moving along here, so I also noticed that the World Series begins 103 days before Super Bowl 52. And if you write out stock market crash, it equals 103 in the reverse reduced method. And then I pointed out US Bank Stadium. Think about it, the United States Bank. Minnesota used to play in Hubert Humphrey Stadium, HH 88. Hubert H. Humphrey in Gematria equals 88. Hubert H. Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome equals 133, just like football, just like Minnesota. US Bank Stadium equals 88 in the reverse reduced method. Minute Maid Park, where the Astros play, equals 88 in the reverse reduced method. United States Bank equals 103, also 185 and 247 in reverse. Stock market crash equals identical to that. Donald John Trump with his middle name equals 185, just like stock market crash. And in regards to wall, think about Donald Trump, right? Wall Street, Donald Trump wants to build the wall. We were told that he won the election on November 9th, which is the anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down. They had the new game show with LeBron James called The Wall. They had the movie The Great Wall coming out. Did they know Donald Trump was going to be the president? They started making these movies 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And then they randomly come out when Donald Trump becomes the president talking about going to build the wall. That's what people need to wake up to. It's so ridiculously obvious. They created these movies well in advance. They knew who was going to be the president because the president is selected, not elected. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter what you if you voted or not. It doesn't matter. I don't even think they even truly even count them. Anyway, we'll leave the video at that. One other thing that I pointed out in the previous video was that I was talking about the curse of Rocky Colavito and how Rocky Colavito was traded for Harvey Keene, and Rocky Colavito was traded to Detroit, and now we have Justin Verlander being traded from Detroit. Who really knows? Maybe it really is truly all for the Astros. I don't think so. There's something pointing to the Twins or the Indians and maybe the Astros in a few more years. At the beginning of the season, I was truly thinking about the Astros. I talked a lot about Houston in regards to the NBA. So, who knows? There is a space theme that's interrelated into all of the Jesuit stuff, but it's seemingly connected either to the Indians or the Twins, the way that I'm reading it. But, you know, it's it's all interrelated into the Super Bowl as well, and it's interrelated into things like the stock market crash. So we'll see how it all plays out. I think it'll be funny if the World Series somehow comes to an end on October 29th, right? Begins on Black Thursday and ends on Black Tuesday, the 88th anniversary. But peace out. Have a good one.